welcome back to the Gilead Gossip. As everyone knows, we are in danger. Reports of credit card accounts being frozen and women losing their jobs all around are installing fear into the population. Moira from Columbus, Ohio just texted our hotline saying her job at her 9-to-5 cubicle has been infiltrated by the government and they forced her to resign.
I just got word from the president. You can't work here anymore.
What? This is my job.
I know, but it's just, I don't know. The government's outside. They have guns. Like, yeah.
This is.
It's fine.
Not okay.
Pranked ya. The camera's over there. It's actually Crash Course, and I'm Shaheen Gamari.
And I'm Isabella Dillman.
Today, we are talking about The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, a classic dystopian novel with heavy tones of feminism. And we'll get into specific passages, diving deeper into the life of Miss Atwood, briefly going into the plot, and talking about themes in the book that you maybe didn't catch the first time.
Following her particular lens of feminism, Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale follows the same direction of her intended views. In a Christian society turned radical, Handmaid's Tale follows the narrative of a woman named Offred forced into the new utopia. Previously married with a child, she had her family stripped away from her, where she immediately faced re-education on how to become a handmaid. She consistently reflects on her past life, recalling times with her husband, child, best friend, even her mother, and the old ways of society. However, she now serves a commander, the head of the house, to provide his offspring when his wife cannot. Slowly, Offred begins to partake in illegal activities with the commander, and surely enough, the other characters she meets throughout, leading to her central but vague escape from the Gilead society she was isolated within.
Hey.
Oh, didn't see you guys there. I was just reading Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I would totally recommend it. It's a great book.
We have to talk about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, totally. So, Margaret Atwood, really great person. She was born in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. She was born under the name Margaret Eleanor Atwood and was born a natural writer. At the age of 5, she started writing poems and short stories, and it seemed to just be innate to her. After completing her studies at Victoria College, she earned her master's degree in English literature. But her career was just beginning at this point. She wrote about the horrors of materialism and heavily touched on topics of feminism. Handmaid's Tale was her true break into the profession, making her a force to be reckoned with. After her fame, she began to get recognition such as the Booker Prize. Yep, I know. She's a big shot, pretty much.
Many memorable quotes come out of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, especially those that circle around the major themes of the books. One of those being, a rat in a maze is free to go anywhere as long as it stays inside the maze. This just shows that the women in The Handmaid's Tale are given this false freedom. They're told that they're being saved from men's vicious desires, and women are told that they're getting a greater freedom, they're getting greater safety, when in reality they're actually confined to a much smaller space. Along with this, the quote, "But remember that forgiveness too is a power. To beg for it is a power, and to withhold or bestow it is a power, perhaps the greatest. Maybe none of this is about control. Maybe it isn't really about who can own who can do that to whom and get away with it, even as far as death. Maybe it isn't about who can sit and who has to kneel or stand or lie down, legs spread open. Maybe it's about who can do what to whom and be forgiven for it. Never tell me it amounts to the same thing." This shows the kind of power that men had in the society versus the women. The men were able to take control of the women, beat the women, basically dictate every part of a woman's life and have complete forgiveness for it. They never had any repercussions at all. And a woman could be, like I said, beat or even hung for being outspoken. So it just shows power is really shown in the different aspects of who is being held accountable for what. Lastly, there's the quote that says, "Don't let the bastards grind you down." This was a quote that was engraved inside of the main character Offred's closet from the previous handmaid who lived in her room. So reading for the handmaids or writing of any sort was completely illegal and punishable by death. So the fact that a handmaid was able to write this inside the closet and then the next handmaid was able to read it was a sign of freedom itself because they're going against the laws. As well as this, "Don't let the bastards grind you down." There's some sense of rebellion in there. It's like, don't let the men grind you down. Don't let the men take over. And it kind of gave the main character hope that maybe there was a different a different way out. If one person thought that they had the power to be themselves and keep their sanity and keep their power against the men, then there may be a whole group who can do that, and she would have her freedom.
Oh, you're still here. Okay. No biggie. But you know what it is. It's theme time. You guessed it right. So today we're talking about the power of language in a society that's limited from it. The ability to read and write is evidently a privilege in this novel, and not having it, quite honestly, means you're less than. So the want and need for the language in society is prevalent due to the fact that handmaids are banned from reading and writing, and having seen doing it would be severe punishment. The hierarchies that are in place, like men being defined by their military rank and women being defined by their social and economic rate, it gives government like full control over the women's bodies. And having full control over women's bodies seems to be another theme, more or less the actual topic of their bodies in general. Throughout the book, Offred calls herself and the other handmaids containers. It's only the inside of their body that matters, which is on page 96. But with the dangerously high amounts of infertile women and men, due to the government regulations, handmaids are needed so a higher power can just swoop in and come take their baby. The usage of their bodies without actually caring about the person or what could happen to them is a clear theme in this book, and it's kind of like a danger sign to what could happen in our actual government. After her big break into her career after Handmaid's Tale, she began to get recognition such as the Booker Prize for her novel The Blind Assassin, and before that she got the GILEAD Prize for her book Elias Grace. So a common theme that we can see in her novels seem to be feminism, and how the characters in her novels overcome the chains and the rules that are set for women at this time. Whew! No, that was a long one. From this you can see that as a government you really shouldn't take over your people. And hopefully you got more of the plot and more about Margaret Atwood, and maybe you can tune in next week.
And remember to stay equal.